better to kind of almost be in that corner because it might be harder for them to see the students. Okay. Please, if there's some new people that have come in, make sure you have phones on airplane mode. You can take pictures or video of your own school only. Okay. You guys may begin when you are ready.
Good evening, fellow FFA members, judges, and guests. We are the Ovid-Elsie FFA Agricultural Issues team. The title of our presentation is Prescription for Trouble. The debate over the agricultural uses of antibiotics. We would like to take a minute to introduce ourselves and what roles we will be portraying.
My name is Chloe Harris, and I will be portraying the role of an uninformed buyer at the county fair who is skeptical about the agricultural uses of antibiotics.
My name is Brianna Love, and I will be a buyer who is against the use of antibiotics in agriculture.
My name is Kayla Duker, and I will be portraying a buyer who is for the use of antibiotics.
My name is Jessie Nash, and I will be portraying a prospect beef exhibitor who explains the pros of using antibiotics as a preventative medicine.
My name is Tori Olcher, and I'll be portraying a poultry exhibitor who explains the cons of the agricultural use of antibiotics, along with the FDA guidelines and legislation related to it.
And I am Cammie Harris. I will be portraying a pig exhibitor who is neutral on the issue of antibiotics in agriculture. I will be discussing the results of antibiotic bans. Honorable timekeeper, we will begin when the judges are ready.
Hey Brianna and Kayla, glad I could catch up with you guys before the auction. Since I have never bought an animal before, I have some questions. I looked online to see if there was anything I should look out for in the meat industry before buying some meat for myself, and kept running into some stuff about antibiotic resistance and superbugs. What do you guys think about this?
I've heard about superbugs too. When farmers give their animals antibiotics too often, bacteria can adapt and become resistant to them. Then when we eat their meat, there's an increased risk of us getting sick and antibiotics not being able to treat it.
But with proper cooking times, your odds of contracting any foodborne illness, antibiotic resistant or not, are very slim.
So if I follow cooking recommendations, I shouldn't get E. coli?
Basically, you would have a better chance of being struck by lightning than you would of contracting and dying from an antibiotic-resistant superbug.
Yes, the odds of you contracting some superbugs can be lessened by how you prepare your food. That being said, however, superbugs or antibiotic-resistant bacteria are still causing 23,000 deaths each year in the U.S. alone, according to a Consumer's Report article.
I've done a little research on antibiotics too, and I think that we need them to treat sick animals. It's kind of like if you were to get sick, you would go to the doctor and they would give you an antibiotic.
Yes, but many farmers don't just use antibiotics for when their animals are sick. They also use them as growth promoters.
So livestock producers giving their animals antibiotics is creating resistant bacteria? I didn't even realize that antibiotics could make animals grow more. I thought they were only used to treat infections and illnesses.
Yeah, some farmers will give their animals antibiotics daily in their food and water because it can help their animals grow up to 4% more than antibiotic-free animals.
Why don't we get it straight from the horse's mouth and go ask exhibitors whether or not they choose to use antibiotics?
The beef barn is right over here. We can go see my co-worker's daughter, Jessie. Hey, Jessie, how's it going?
Great, how are you, Miss Brianna?
Great. This is Chloe, and this is Kayla. Chloe has never bought an animal before, so we were wondering if you could answer some of our questions before the auction starts.
Okay, what would you like to know?
Well, there are a lot of articles in the media that are saying that antibiotics are causing problems. What is your opinion on the use of antibiotics?
First of all, I think the media tends to make small things a bigger issue than they actually are. I actually see antibiotics as a necessary tool for the growth and maintenance of my beef herd. Not only can antibiotics be used to treat illness, they can also be used to prevent it. Also, they are great growth promoters.
Do you know anything more about how antibiotics help with growth promotion?
Actually, no one knows for sure what in antibiotics actually helps an animal grow faster, but there is some evidence, however, that they actually kill off the flora or bacteria that would thrive in an animal's intestines. This makes them better able to utilize more food.
So how are antibiotics given to an animal? Is it just a shot?
Well, antibiotics can be given in both the feed and water. Also, antibiotics can come in the form of a pill, which can be administered with the help of a balling gun. Generally, antibiotics given in a shot are used for the treatment of illness.
When would you use antibiotics in feed?
In my herd, we use tetracycline during the weaning period because it is a stressful time on animals. This makes them more susceptible to pneumonia. Another time when we use antibiotics in feed is towards the end of the late feeding period, when we are feeding mostly grain in the diet. I do this because it helps prevent them from growing abscesses on their livers.
You said that you feed antibiotics in the late feeding period. So are cattle being slaughtered with antibiotics still in their bodies?
When you consume products from an animal that had actually been treated with antibiotics, you don't actually eat any antibiotics at all. The FDA has set waiting periods or withdrawal periods, which a farmer legally has to wait before they can process an animal that had been treated with antibiotics. For example, if you treat a cow with penicillin, you legally have to wait 72 hours before you can process that animal. But some withdrawal periods can go up to 45 days. The lengths are different because they get metabolized at different rates.
Is there anything else we can use instead of antibiotics?
Well, for preventative uses, you can use vaccines to promote immunity against certain illnesses. Also, USDA scientists have been trying to find alternatives to antibiotics used as growth promoters. They have actually found that an enzyme, lysozyme, proves to be just as effective in growth promotion in pigs. I believe that we should be able to find more alternatives in the future.
I think that's all the questions we have for now. Thank you.
Thank you for coming out today. The poultry is next in the sale order, so I recommend going there next.
Thank you.
Hi there, how are you doing?
Good, thank you.
Looks like you did good at your show today.
Thanks. So, I'm new to buying animals at the fair, and I'm concerned with the issue of antibiotic resistance. Does your farm use antibiotics?
No, we don't use antibiotics. I've done a little research and realized that using a daily low dose of antibiotics isn't enough to kill bacteria. So they adapt and mutate to become resistant to the antibiotics. Then, when we eat the animal's meat, we're at an increased risk of contracting an antibiotic-resistant bacteria like Salmonella or E. coli.
Superbugs do seem to be a really big problem.
Yeah, they are. That's why FDA guidelines are calling for farmers to voluntarily phase out their use of medically important antibiotics for growth promotion.
Why would they want to do this if it's only voluntary?
Well, as more and more consumers are becoming aware of the problem with antibiotic resistance, there's been an increased demand for antibiotic-free meats with labels like Food Alliance or Animal Welfare Approved. And more companies are responding to these demands by voluntarily converting.
What companies are doing this?
Well, Tyson is a big company in the poultry industry that has decided to phase out their use of antibiotics, with the goal of using no human antibiotics in their broiler chickens by September 2017.
That's a pretty big goal. Tyson must have millions of chickens. How are they doing so far?
A press release says that as of April 2015, they've reduced their use of human antibiotics in their chickens by over 80% since 2011.
Good for them.
Can you elaborate more on what those FDA guidelines require?
Yeah, of course. As of January 1st, 2017, all livestock producers will be required to obtain a veterinary feed directive in order to purchase antibiotics. Right now, this will only affect antibiotics in an animal's food or water, but will eventually spread to injectable antibiotics as well.
What is a veterinary feed directive and how would I get one?
A veterinary feed directive, or VFD, is basically a prescription for antibiotics that would be in your animal's food or water. You can get a VFD at any time from your practicing vet. VFDs must be given to your local feed mill before they are legally allowed to mix antibiotics into your feed.
That doesn't seem too bad, and it all makes sense.
But these are all just FDA guidelines, right? Has there been any legislation banning the use of antibiotics?
No. As of right now, no bill has been passed. However, Representative Slaughter from New York is pushing for a bill called PAMTA, the Preservation of Antibiotics for Medical Treatment Act, which would ban the use of medically important antibiotics from agriculture.
Interesting. Well, good luck at the sale tonight.
Thank you. By the way, there's a swine exhibitor from my chapter who knows a lot about the agricultural use of antibiotics. I recommend you go see her before the sale starts.
We'll do that, thanks.
Thank you. Hello.
Hi.
We're looking at animals to buy at the sales night. Do you mind if we ask you a couple questions?
No, go ahead.
What do you know about the agricultural use of antibiotics?
Actually, I recently did a research paper for my ag class on this topic. I learned that a lot of people are worried that using antibiotics too often is creating superbugs. Overusing antibiotics was a problem for a while, but now there are more and more precautions being taken to make sure that antibiotic-resistant infections don't get out of control. For instance, Denmark banned the subtherapeutic use of antibiotics in agriculture in 1998.
Can you explain what subtherapeutic means?
Subtherapeutic just means using antibiotics in low doses as a preventative measure. This also includes using antibiotics for growth reasons.
So, what were the results of this ban? Has there been less cases of resistant illness?
One study from Denmark has shown that the presence of certain bacteria, like E. coli, has dropped significantly since the ban has been implemented.
So, is America doing this too? It seems like Denmark has seen a really positive impact on health because of their ban.
Well, no. See, the downside of this experiment is that Denmark has seen an increase in the cost of production due to higher mortality rates and having to use more antibiotics for treatment, both of which is hurting small farmers. An Iowa State University economist has analyzed the Denmark ban and has estimated that if the U.S. was to follow suit, we would see a similar increase in the costs of production, which would also obviously raise the prices of meats.
So basically, there are a lot of things to consider before deciding where to stand on this issue. Thank you for your time.
No problem.
So, what do you guys think about antibiotics now?
I still don't like them. Even if I do have to pay more for meat, I'm just not willing to risk an antibiotic-resistant infection. I'll be watching for that antibiotic-free chicken at the sale.
I still don't think that the health risks are all that great. And I say that if farmers want to use antibiotics to prevent sickness in their animals, all the power to them.
I don't know what I think anymore. I do think that antibiotics are creating superbugs, and that's bad. But to completely ban the use of antibiotics in agriculture doesn't seem like a good idea either. I'll probably at least spit up that pig. I'd like to help the exhibitor because she did really seem to know what she was talking about.
Well, everyone has to make their own choice. That pamphlet bill still hasn't been passed yet, and the FDA guidelines are only voluntary. So right now it's still up to the farmer and the consumer where they stand.
Yeah, you're right. I think that the most important thing is to be informed. But anyway, we better hurry. The auction's going to be starting soon, and I don't want to miss my markets here. Pro. Antibiotics are used to treat sick animals and promote growth. With animals being given antibiotics having up to 4% more weight gain than antibiotic-free animals.
God, giving a daily low dose of antibiotics to animals can encourage the mutation of bacteria into antibiotic-resistant superbugs.
Pro. Giving animals low doses of antibiotics and feed regularly can help in the prevention of bacterial infections.
Con. FDA guidelines are calling for farmers to voluntarily phase out the use of medically important antibiotics in agriculture. And legislation is in consideration to ban the use of antibiotics for growth promotion.
Pro. Antibiotics are necessary because if the U.S. was to ban the use of antibiotics for preventative reasons, like Denmark did, we would see an increase in the costs of production.
Con. An antibiotic ban would be beneficial because banning the uses of antibiotics in agriculture would result in a lowered amount of certain bacteria like E. coli in animals and meat.
Thank you. Honorable timekeeper, this now concludes our presentation. We have provided a list of our references for the judges and will now entertain any questions that the judges may have for us.
I have a question.
Judge, they actually do test some carcasses, but they don't test every one. So if you do happen to get caught, then it'll be one of your random. It wouldn't be, they don't test everybody because it does cost a certain amount to test just a couple animals. So they randomly test every so often.
I have a question. Are you aware about the food labeling, when we label food or the FDA labels food antibiotic free? Does it mean, and maybe you don't know the question or the answer, that the animal has never received your antibiotics, or that if the withholding time has been met, and therefore they're able to label it antibiotic free?
Honorable Judge, antibiotic free just means that they have not been given any antibiotics for preventative reasons or for growth promotion. If an animal was sick, it could still be given antibiotics and be labeled antibiotic free.
I have one more then. What are medically important antibiotics? You mentioned those.
Honorable Judge, medically important antibiotics are usually described as antimicrobial drugs that are important for the therapeutic use in humans.
So as far as any particular names of them?
Honorable Judge, some medically important antibiotics are penicillins, it is your tetracyclines, it can be Draxins and certain uses.
Any further questions?
Is there a lot or just a few drugs that are used both in animals and humans?
Honorable Judge, there is a fair amount of drugs that cross over to both humans and animal uses.
Honorable Judge, in addition to that, not only are the drugs are not exactly the same, but they share similar main components, which cause the bacteria to build up immunity in similar cases.